The rishis said, "O son of Sudha, we wish to hear a full and detailed account of the place you mentioned called Samantapanchaka." Sauti said, "O Brahmanas, you are worthy of hearing about this sacred place. Listen carefully. The place is known as Samantapanchaka. Between the Treta and Dwapara Yugas, Parashurama, the son of Jamadagni, angered by injustice, repeatedly destroyed the race of Kshatriyas. During this period, Parashurama created 5 lakes filled with blood at Samantapanchaka. It is said that in his anger, he offered this blood as an offering to his ancestors while standing in those lakes. His ancestors, led by Richika, appeared before him and said, 'O Rama, O blessed one, you have pleased us with your devotion and valor. Ask for any boon you desire.' Parashurama said, 'If you are pleased with me, then I wish to be freed from the sins of destroying the Kshatriyas in anger. Also, I wish that the lakes I created become famous as holy shrines.' The ancestors replied, 'So be it. But you must now find peace.' Thus, Parashurama calmed down, and the area became famous as Samantapanchaka. Later, between the Dwapara and Kali Yugas, the great battle between the Pandavas and Kauravas took place in that very region. Sudha said, the chapters of the Mahabharata are divided into many sections. The first section is called Anukramanika, the second, Sangraha. Then come Pashya, Paloma, Astika, and Adavansavatarana. After these, we have the Sambhava section, full of amazing and thrilling events. Then comes Jachagrihadaha, burning of the Lak house, Hidimba Bada, killing of Hidimba, and Baka Bada, killing of Baka. In the Swayamvara section, Arjuna won Draupadi in a contest of warrior skills. After that come the Vaivahika, marriage, Vidura Gamana, Vidura's visit, Raja Labha, acquisition of the kingdom, Arjuna Banavasa, Arjuna's exile, and Subhadra Harana, abduction of Subhadra. After this there is Khandava Daha, burning of the Khandava forest, and Maya Darsana, meeting Maya, the Asura architect. Next comes Sabha, Jarasandha, Digvijaya, conquest of all directions, and Rajasuya. In this part, Sisupala is killed. Afterward, we have Dayuddha, the gambling match, Anudyuddha after gambling, Aranyaka, and Karmira Bada. Arjuna's travels and his fight with Lord Shiva disguised as a hunter are detailed in the Kairati section. Afterward, we have Nalapakyana and Tirtha Yatra, pilgrimage. Draupadi's abduction, Jayadratha's release, and the story of Savitri follow. Then, we have the Rama story, Kandala Harana, Aranya, and Vairata. Then comes the marriage of Abhimanyu and the Virata princess. Afterward comes the Udyoga section. Following this is the Sanjaya Yana, arrival of Sanjaya, and Dhritarashtra's sleepless nights due to anxiety. Then comes the highly philosophical Sanatsujata section, followed by stories of Krishna, Matali, and Galava. Arjuna's vow to kill Jayadratha, the deaths of Abhimanyu and Gatotthakesha, and Karna's defeat are also part of the later chapters. The final chapters cover Bhishma's teachings, Karna's death, and Duryodhana's last battle with Bhima. Lastly, we have Sadaka, the terrible destruction, the death rituals, and finally, Yudhishthira's coronation and ascension. Once upon a time, the sage Vyasa composed a magnificent epic called the Mahabharata, consisting of 100 Parvas books. This vast tale, filled with valor, adventure, and wisdom, is divided into 18 main sections. In the Adi Parva, we learn about various significant events. Pashya Parva tells the story of Utanka's greatness. Paloma Parva recounts the saga of Brigu's sons. Astika Parva narrates the birth of Garuda and the churning of the ocean, revealing the creation of the celestial horse, Uchchaishrava. Sambhava Parva introduces the birth of great kings and heroes, including the sage Krishna Dwaipayana, and details the life of King Bharata, after whom the land is named. The tale continues with the birth of Bhishma, a noble warrior who renounces the throne to uphold his vows, and the births of Dhritarashtra and Pandu, leading to the birth of the Pandavas. Duryodhana, the eldest son of Dhritarashtra, plots against the Pandavas, leading to their exile. In the forests, the Pandavas face many challenges, including a fierce encounter with Hidimba, whom Bhima defeats. They receive guidance from Vyasa and make their way to Panchala to win the hand of Draupadi in her Swayamvara, the ceremony of choosing a husband. Arjuna impresses everyone by piercing the target, and Draupadi becomes his wife. The Pandavas then settle in Khandava Prastha and share the kingdom, living in peace and prosperity. However, their journey is fraught with challenges. After a vow, Arjuna embarks on adventures that lead him to meet Ulupi, the daughter of a serpent, and to rescue 5 celestial maidens who were turned into alligators. He also wins the love of Subhadra, Krishna's sister, in a daring escapade. Thus unfolds the grand epic of the Mahabharata, a story of courage, love, and the quest for righteousness. All beautifully captured by Vyasa in his 227 chapters, containing thousands of verses that teach invaluable lessons for all time. Once upon a time, the Pandavas built a grand assembly hall, a magnificent structure that showcased their strength and unity. They reviewed their loyal retainers and sought advice from Narada, the celestial sage, who described the guardians of the universe, the Lokapalas. As preparations for the grand Rajasuya sacrifice began, the Pandavas aimed for universal conquest. They successfully defeated the mighty Jarasandha and rescued princes who were imprisoned in a mountain pass with the help of Lord Krishna. During the Rajasuya sacrifice, many princes arrived with tribute, but tensions grew when Bhima playfully mocked Duryodhana, causing jealousy to flare within him. Duryodhana was filled with sorrow as he beheld the grandeur of the event. In his indignation, he decided to challenge Yudhishthira to a game of dice. Unbeknownst to Yudhishthira, the cunning Sakuni had plans to deceive him. Yudhishthira lost everything, including his brothers and the pride of his wife, Draupadi, who was humiliated in the assembly. Feeling a mix of compassion and despair, Dhritarashtra, the king, tried to help Draupadi, who felt like a boat tossed in stormy seas. Despite the chaos, Duryodhana's schemes continued, leading to Yudhishthira's exile along with his brothers. And so, the stage was set for a tale of challenges, loyalty, and the inevitable conflicts that would follow. After their exile, the Pandavas entered the forest, led by the wise Yudhishthira. They worshipped the sun god, seeking blessings to sustain the Brahmanas with food and drink. With the grace of the sun, they were able to create food. Meanwhile, Dhritarashtra, feeling threatened, expelled his wise brother Vidura, who always spoke for the good of the kingdom. Vidura eventually joined the Pandavas but later returned to Dhritarashtra at his request. Duryodhana, fueled by envy and guided by Karna, plotted to destroy the Pandavas in the forest. The sage Vyasa intervened, warning Duryodhana against his wicked plans. There were tales of Surabi, the sacred cow, and Maitreya, who advised Dhritarashtra, even cursing Duryodhana for his evil intentions. In the midst of their wanderings, Bhima fought and defeated Karmira, a fierce demon. Upon hearing of the unfair defeat of Yudhishthira at gambling, princes from Panchala and the Vrishni clan rushed to support the Pandavas. Yudhishthira, distraught, lamented with Draupadi, but Krishna consoled her. The Pandavas traveled through the beautiful Dwaita forest, where they had conversations filled with hope and sorrow. Vyasa came to bless Yudhishthira with special knowledge. Following Vyasa's departure, the Pandavas journeyed to Kamyaka forest, where Arjuna sought powerful weapons. Arjuna faced Mahadeva, disguised as a hunter, and proved his valor. He also received divine weapons from the guardians of the universe. Dhritarashtra worried about his sons as news of the Pandavas' strength spread. Yudhishthira mourned during a meeting with the great sage Brihadaswa, and there was a touching story of Nala and Damayanti, showcasing patience and love. Yudhishthira learned about dice from Brihadaswa and received news about Arjuna from the sage Lamasa, who descended from the heavens. The Pandavas undertook pilgrimages to sacred places, gaining great merit. Stories of other sages, like Agastya, who devoured the Asura Vatapi, and Rishyasringa, who lived a life of purity, were also shared. In their travels, they encountered various legendary figures, including King Mandhata and the Prince Jantu, who sacrificed his only son for 100 more. They also heard about the noble deeds of King Sivi, Ashtavakra, and the heroic tales of Rama. Their journey continued as they faced many trials. Bhima sought a rare flower for Draupadi, meeting Hanuman along the way. The two mighty warriors formed a bond, and Bhima faced fierce battles against demons and spirits. They eventually met Kubera and Arjuna, who returned with powerful celestial weapons. The battles with fierce enemies like Nivatakavachas and Palomas followed, showcasing Arjuna's strength. One day, Bhima was captured by a huge serpent, but he was freed when Yudhishthira answered its riddles. The Pandavas returned to Kamyaka forest, where Vasudeva visited them, sharing stories of their kin. Draupadi was abducted by Jayadratha, leading to Bhima's furious chase. Arjuna also played a key role in rescuing her, further solidifying the bonds of love and loyalty among the Pandavas. Lastly, Karna faced the wrath of Indra, losing his earrings and receiving a powerful weapon that could slay only one foe. Through these trials and teachings, the Pandavas grew stronger, readying themselves for the challenges ahead. Thus, the Aranyaka Parva weaves a rich tapestry of adventure, loyalty, and the indomitable spirit of the Pandavas. Virata Parva, the fourth part of the Mahabharata, is known as the Virata Parva. After their exile, the Pandavas arrived in the kingdom of Virata, where they decided to hide. They kept their weapons hidden in a large shami tree near the city cemetery. In disguise, they entered the city and stayed there. Bhima, in disguise, killed Kichaka, who had been harassing Draupadi with his unwanted advances. Meanwhile, Duryodhana sent spies to find the Pandavas, but they could not locate them. The Trigardas, a rival kingdom, attacked Virata's cattle, prompting a fierce battle. Bhima fought valiantly, rescuing King Virata and reclaiming his cattle. Later, in gratitude, King Virata offered his daughter Uttara to Arjuna's son Abhimanyu as a bride. Udyoga Parva, the fifth part, is called the Udyoga Parva. While the Pandavas were in Upaplavya, they prepared for war. Both Duryodhana and Arjuna sought the help of Krishna. Duryodhana foolishly asked for an army, while Arjuna asked for Krishna's counsel, who vowed not to fight. When King Salya of Madra was coming to assist the Pandavas, Duryodhana tricked him into supporting him instead. The Pandavas sent their priest to negotiate peace with the Kauravas. King Dhritarashtra, worried about the impending conflict, received wise counsel from Vidura. Krishna, wishing for peace, traveled to Hastinapura to negotiate but was rejected by Duryodhana. Krishna then advised Karna, who arrogantly dismissed Krishna's counsel. Upon returning to the Pandavas, Krishna shared everything that had happened. The Pandavas, determined for battle, made their preparations. As both armies assembled, Duryodhana sent an envoy, Aluka, to the Pandavas to negotiate one last time before the war. This part of the epic highlights the tension and preparations for the great battle to come. In the grand saga of the Mahabharata, the sixth book is called the Bhishma Parva. Sanjaya recounts the events as the mighty Kurukshetra war rages on. Yudhishthira's army suffers heavy losses, and Arjuna is torn with grief over the thought of fighting his own kin. However, Krishna, the wise charioteer, encourages Arjuna to fulfill his duty as a warrior. Krishna jumps down from his chariot and rushes towards Bhishma, the formidable warrior, who has taken a position against the Pandavas. With Shikandi, a warrior destined to defeat Bhishma, Arjuna takes aim and shoots his arrows, finally bringing Bhishma down to his bed of arrows. The mighty Bhishma lies defeated, but he blesses the Pandavas even in his last moments, sharing wisdom and guidance. Following the Bhishma Parva, we have the Drona Parva. Here, Dronacharya, the esteemed teacher of martial arts, takes command of the Kaurava army. He vows to capture Yudhishthira, and a fierce battle ensues. Arjuna displays his valor by defeating formidable warriors and even slaying the mighty elephant Bhagadatta. But tragedy strikes when Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son, falls in battle, outnumbered by many foes. In his grief, Arjuna retaliates fiercely, destroying countless enemies, including the enemy commander, Jayadratha. This Parva showcases the bravery of the Pandavas and the sorrow of losing loved ones, culminating in a poignant reminder of the cost of war. The eighth book is the Karna Parva, which tells the tale of Karna, a warrior with a heart of gold. As the battle intensifies, Karna becomes the charioteer for Salya, the king of Madra. They exchange harsh words before entering the fray, but their warrior spirits rise. In this Parva, we witness Karna's remarkable feats on the battlefield and the tragic moments of loss. Yudhishthira faces Karna in a fierce duel, and tension brews between brothers as they wrestle with their vows and emotions. In a climactic moment, Bhima fulfills his vow by vanquishing Dusasana, and Arjuna ultimately defeats Karna in a monumental showdown, marking a turning point in the battle. The story encapsulates themes of loyalty, honor, and the devastating consequences of war. In the Salya Parva, after many great warriors had fallen, Salya, the king of Madra, becomes the leader of the Kaurava army. This Parva describes intense battles, with encounters between charioteers highlighting their skills and valor. Yudhishthira, known for his justice, ultimately defeats Salya in battle, marking a significant moment in the war. The cunning Sakuni also meets his end at the hands of Sahadeva. As the battlefield quiets, only a few soldiers remain alive. Duryodhana, feeling defeated, retreats to a nearby lake, seeking solace in the water. However, he cannot bear the insults hurled at him by Yudhishthira and emerges from the lake to confront Bhima. The two warriors engage in a fierce duel, armed with clubs. During this clash, Balarama arrives, witnessing the intensity of the battle. Bhima, driven by determination, strikes Duryodhana's thighs with his mace, shattering them and leading to Duryodhana's defeat. This ninth Parva contains 59 sections and is composed of 3,220 slokas. The Sataka Parva unfolds with a haunting tale of revenge. After the Pandavas depart the battlefield, the fierce charioteers, Kritavarman, Kripa, and Aswathan arrive in the evening to find Duryodhana gravely wounded, his thighs broken, and covered in blood. Aswathan, filled with rage over his father Drona's demise, vows to annihilate the Pandavas and their allies. They enter a dark forest as night falls, and while resting under a banyan tree, they witness an owl killing crows, which fuels Aswathaman's fury. Determined to take revenge, he approaches the Pandava camp. However, he encounters a fearsome Rakshasa guarding the entrance. By worshipping the three-eyed Rudra, Aswathan manages to neutralize the Rakshasa and, alongside Kritavarman and Kripa, they launch a surprise attack on the sleeping Panchalas, including Draupadi's sons. That fateful night, all perish except for the 5 Pandavas and the valiant Satyaki, who escape due to Krishna's guidance. The news of this massacre reaches the Pandavas, bringing great grief, especially to Draupadi. Heartbroken over her son's deaths, she decides to fast unto death. Moved by her sorrow, Bhima vows to avenge the fallen and chases after Aswathan. Aswathan, fearing Bhima's wrath, unleashes a celestial weapon to destroy the Pandavas. However, Krishna intervenes, declaring, "This shall not be." Arjuna counters Aswathaman's weapon with one of his own. The Pandavas confront Aswathan, who retaliates with curses, but they ultimately overpower him, taking away the jewel from his head as a symbol of victory. This 10th Parva, Sadaka, is composed of 870 slokas across 18 sections. In the Salya Parva, after all the great warriors had fallen, King Salya of Madra became the commander of the Kaurava army. A series of battles followed, with Salya finally being slain by Yudhishthira. Sahadeva killed Shakuni in battle, and after most of the army was destroyed, Duryodhana hid in a lake. When Bhima learned of this, Yudhishthira's harsh words provoked Duryodhana to come out. Bhima and Duryodhana fought a fierce club battle, and with a powerful blow, Bhima shattered Duryodhana's thighs. This marked the end of the great Salya Parva. Next is the Sadaka Parva. After the Pandavas left the battlefield, Ashwatthama, Kritavarma, and Kripacharya found Duryodhana severely wounded. Furious, Ashwatthama vowed revenge on the Pandavas and the Panchalas. That night, inspired by the sight of an owl killing crows, Ashwatthama entered the sleeping Panchala camp and killed everyone, including the sons of Draupadi. Only the 5 Pandavas and Satyaki survived due to Krishna's guidance. When Draupadi learned of the massacre, she was overcome with grief and vowed to end her life by fasting. Bhima, to console Draupadi, chased Ashwatthama. Out of desperation, Ashwatthama unleashed a powerful divine weapon, but Krishna neutralized it. The Pandavas then stripped Ashwatthama of the jewel on his forehead and presented it to Draupadi as a token of their victory. Stri Parva. After the Great War, the Stri Parva begins. Dhritarashtra, grieving the loss of his sons and burning with hatred for Bhima, sought revenge. But Krishna, in his wisdom, placed an iron statue of Bhima in front of Dhritarashtra. In his rage, Dhritarashtra crushed the statue. Later, Vidura consoled Dhritarashtra, urging him to let go of worldly attachments and embrace the peace of final liberation. Afterward, Dhritarashtra, along with the women of the Kuru family, went to the battlefield, where the wives, mothers, and sisters of the slain warriors wept bitterly. Gandhari and Dhritarashtra, overwhelmed by grief, lost consciousness, but Krishna pacified Gandhari's anger. The bodies of the deceased kings and warriors were then cremated by Yudhishthira with proper rites. At this moment, Kunti revealed the secret that Karna was her eldest son, which shocked everyone. Stri Parva is a deeply emotional chapter, consisting of 27 sections and 775 verses. Shanti Parva. Next comes the Shanti Parva, a section that enhances wisdom. Yudhishthira was overcome with guilt and sorrow, feeling responsible for the deaths of his fathers, brothers, sons, uncles, and friends. In this Parva, Bhishma, lying on his bed of arrows, explained the duties of a king and the rules for governance. He taught the importance of understanding time, circumstances, and dharma. The mysteries of final liberation and moral duties were also discussed. Shanti Parva contains 339 sections and 14,732 verses. Anushasana Parva. Following this is the Anushasana Parva, where Bhishma continued his teachings to Yudhishthira. He discussed the rules of dharma, artha, wealth, and the virtues of charity. Bhishma explained the importance of brahmanas, cows, and the principles of giving. This Parva also includes Bhishma's final ascension to heaven. It contains 146 sections and 8,000 verses. Aswamedika Parva. After the Great War, the Aswamedika Parva begins. In this Parva, the story of Samvarta and Maruta is narrated. The Pandavas discover hidden golden treasures. Parikshit, who was burned by Ashwatthama's celestial weapon, is revived by Krishna. Arjuna, while following the sacrificial horse, fights various kings who try to seize the horse. One such dangerous battle is with Vabruvahana, the son of Arjuna, and Chitrangada, the princess of Manipura. The story of the mongoose during the horse sacrifice is also told, which is quite astonishing. This Parva consists of 103 sections and 3,320 slokas. Asramvasika Parva. Next is the Asramvasika Parva, where Dhritarashtra renounces the kingdom and retires to the forest with Gandhari and Vidura. Kunti, ever devoted to serving her elders, also follows them. With the blessings of Vyasa, Dhritarashtra meets the spirits of his slain children and other relatives. Finally, Dhritarashtra lets go of his grief and attains peace with his wife. Vidura, who led a life of virtue, also attains liberation. Sanjaya and Narada play significant roles in this Parva. The Asramvasika Parva consists of 42 sections and 1,506 slokas. Mashala Parva. Following this is the Mashala Parva, filled with tragic incidents. The mighty Vrishni heroes, cursed by a Brahmin and intoxicated with wine, use blades of areca grass, which turn into deadly weapons, to kill each other on the shores of the sea. Both Balarama and Krishna, having caused the destruction of their race, too succumb to time. Arjuna, on reaching Dwaraka, is deeply saddened to see the destruction of the Vrishni clan. He performs the last rites for Krishna, Balarama, and the others. While taking the remaining women, children, and elders of the Yadava race away from Dwaraka, Arjuna faces a terrible calamity. He witnesses the weakening of his bow Gandiva and the loss of his celestial weapons. Disheartened, Arjuna seeks Yudhishthira's permission to renounce the world and embrace the life of a sannyasi. This Mashala Parva has 8 sections and 320 slokas. Mahaprasthanika Parva. After the Great War, the Pandavas, having fulfilled their duties, renounced their kingdom and set out on the Mahaprasthana, or the Great Journey, with Draupadi. During this journey, they reached the shore of the Sea of Red Waters, where they met Agni, the god of fire. Agni requested Arjuna to return the celestial bow Gandiva, which he had once gifted. Arjuna, fulfilling his duty, worshipped Agni and respectfully returned the bow. As they continued on their journey, one by one, Draupadi, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva fell along the way. However, Yudhishthira, resolute and focused on his path, did not look back and kept walking towards his final destination. This Parva has 3 sections and 320 verses. Svargarohanika Parva. Next comes the Svargarohanika Parva, which narrates Yudhishthira's ascension to heaven. As a celestial chariot arrived to take Yudhishthira to heaven, he refused to board without his loyal companion, a dog that had followed him all along the journey. The dog then revealed itself to be Dharma, the god of justice, in disguise, testing Yudhishthira's devotion to righteousness. Upon reaching heaven, Yudhishthira was first shown hell, where he heard the agonizing cries of his brothers, who were supposedly suffering. This, however, was a test by Indra and Dharma. Finally, Yudhishthira plunged into the celestial Ganges, shed his human form, and attained his rightful place in heaven, revered by Indra and all the gods. This Parva contains 209 verses. This is the Parva Sangraha section from the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata consists of 18 Parvas, sections. In the appendix, Kila, there are the Haravamsa and Bhavishya Parvas. The Haravamsa contains 12,000 verses. Sauti, the narrator, continued, 18 divisions, Akshauhinis of armies gathered for the great battle, and the war lasted for 18 days, filled with horror. Those who know the 4 Vedas, along with their Angas, branches, and Upanishads, but do not understand the Mahabharata, cannot be considered truly wise. Vyasa, with his immeasurable intellect, has narrated the Mahabharata as a text on dharma, righteousness, artha, wealth, and kama, desire. Those who listen to this great tale cannot bear to listen to any other story. Just like those who have heard the sweet song of the cuckoo cannot tolerate the harsh cawing of the crow. Just as the 3 worlds arise from the 5 elements, the inspiration for all poets comes from this excellent composition. Every story in the world has some connection to the Mahabharata, just as a body depends on the food it consumes. All poets cherish this tale as disciples cherish their masters. The Mahabharata destroys sins and brings good fortune. Listening to it is as purifying as bathing in the sacred Pushkara waters. A Brahmana, no matter what sins he commits through his senses during the day, is freed from them by reading the Mahabharata in the evening. Similarly, by reading it in the morning, he is cleansed of the sins committed during the night. A person who gives 100 cows with golden horns to a well-learned Brahmana, and one who listens to the Mahabharata daily, both earn the same merit. This sacred text is unparalleled and helps the listener navigate the vast ocean of life, just as this chapter, called Parva Sangraha, helps in understanding the entirety of this great epic. Next part in another episode.